Good afternoon, everybody. Are you guys still full of energy, or are you flagging a little bit? You guys look a little bit sleepy. Let's see if we can wake you up. It's great to be here with you guys again today. And we have yet another fascinating panel. We're going to be talking about how AI is transforming industries. And obviously, you know, we're kind of 2 years into the AI hype cycle now. We've been going gaga about it since 2022, 2023. And I think it's clear that, you know, AI has definitely hit product market fit when it comes to consumers. Most of us are using ChatGPT on a daily basis. From a consumer perspective, you know, definitely it's happening. But the question is, from an industry perspective, to what extent is AI already being adopted and implemented? How is AI changing the business model of different industries? How is AI changing the workforce composition of different industries? And to what extent is AI really generating return on investment for different industries? These are some of the questions which we're going to talk about this afternoon. And with me, we have some absolutely fabulous panelists. So to my far left, in the lovely, loud, and shocking pink suit, is Chiara, who is Chief AI Officer at AI71, which is a proudly Emirati, Abu Dhabi-based AI company. Then we have Mounir, who is the CTO of TotalEnergies. Then we have Martell, who is founder and CEO of Willbanah. He's building some very interesting AI software. And last but not least, we have Antoine, who is head of AI at Helsing, the German defense company. He actually used to be head of AI at Meta. So this is going to be a really interesting conversation. Gents and lady, fantastic to have you guys.
Thank you.
So let's start off with the first question, which is really, you know, what I mentioned earlier around the fact that consumers are using AI every day now. But to what extent are industries adopting AI? And what are the kind of really successful use cases you're seeing? Chiara, I'd like to start with you because you work with lots of different clients, lots of different industries. What's your view? Are industries adopting AI? Which industries are really kind of more advanced? And what are the interesting use cases that you're seeing actually being deployed in businesses today?
So I think the answer to your question is they are adopting, they are not where they should be. If you asked me that question last year, I would tell you they are tremendously slow. I think in the last 12 months, there has been a significant acceleration. And the underpinning the significant acceleration is also the change of the use cases. So if you asked me 1 year ago, what were the use cases, I think I would have told you, you know, customer care, where they started to use a chatbot. It was more about spot use cases for very small tasks where AI was injected. Now, what has changed in the last year? AI is seen now as a companion for entire workflow, entire processes. And therefore, the type of use case that we see are much more broader. And this is where companies have started also to see impact and value. Let me give you an example of the last one that we have deployed, and now one of our clients is on the HR. The entire workflow of the HR. So for example, how do you manage now the onboarding process with AI? The new person needs to come. So the day they come, the HR person says, hey, Chiara has joined. Please onboard Chiara. So the AI system, what they do? They open the email where Chiara has sent the document. They load the document. They create the profile in the system. They generate the password. All the activities now are automated. And basically, the HR person is just the driver of the workflow. So this is one that we have seen executing.
So you're saying it's gone from piecemeal use cases to full holistic workflows in the last 12 months. What's changed in the last 12 months? Has anything specifically happened to trigger that move, or is it just time and people just getting used to the technology?
I think what has changed is that the evolution and the introduction of the agentic concept. I mean, I'm not saying a word that is new to anybody because we are bombarded by that.
Just quickly define it, just in case people haven't heard it for the 300th time today. Just quickly
Agentic
define
is
it.
the ability of AI to do a series of tasks and potentially even associated with an action. So to do this, and then send an email with it. So a series of tasks and steps connected together.
Right, okay. So you're seeing that start to be actually adopted.
Yes, because it started to automate what people really do. Before, a use case was solving a small problem, so it almost was a cumbersome change of path in your daily life.
Yeah.
I'm doing something in my regular system, I need to go the other system to find these small things and comes back.
Okay.
Now, I'm sitting in the same place, I'm on the driver's seat, and my work is just gets it executed.
Right. Mounir, I'd like to come to you. I mean, having listened to what Chiara is saying, you're the CTO of TotalEnergies. Talk to us about how you have adopted AI in your own organization. Does it reflect what she just said, or do you have a slightly different view? And maybe give us a specific example of use cases that you've attempted or workflows that you've attempted to adopt.
Okay, thank you, Anish, for this question. First of all, I'm very glad to be here in this beautiful country and with this very skilled people.
Hello, Sahla.
Thank you so much. And yes, we use AI in the energy industry, and we use it everywhere. In HR, as Chiara said, but also in our refineries, in our airborne, in our industrial processes. And I will give some concrete examples. We have deployed mini AI models in digital twins for some of our refineries. We have deployed very impactful AI models in optimization of our processes and also in our in all our industrial process. Just to give you some examples of the impact of AI in energy industry. So we optimize 20%, around 20% of our efficiency in drilling and wells in all our worldwide scope, and which is very impactful and very important impact on the AI for this field.
Has AI changed your business model? Has it changed the way you actually operate your business in a fundamental way? Or has it just made your business a bit more efficient and more productive, but the same business model as before?
Yeah. First of all, we start by changing our business model, but step by step, it's not like a huge change, one shot. It means that it's a progressive way to change our processes, and also to change all our way of doing. Integrating agentic, as Chiara said, is not automatic for us. It's something that we do it, but first of all, we should be aware about all the data that we have. So, because data is key. As we say, if we give to our models data that is corrupted, it will give us corrupt output.
So this is a very interesting point you're making, because you can only have good AI if you have good data. And let's be honest, most corporates have terrible data, right? Unusable data. It's a mess, right? Yeah. So did you have to go through a process where you had to clean your data and make it nice and crisp and sort all that out before you had to before you were able to successfully implement AI?
Yeah. Exactly. So, and we use AI agent to do this also. So
interesting.
Exactly. So in our data governance, or what we say data governance, is just to clean the data, to put it on a way that all our AI agent, AI models can consume it and give accurate outcomes. So we use AI. For example, I don't know if this is maybe a technical term, but we use AI to SQL, for example, to help us to manage our database or our schemas, etc.
Right.
The details is we can use AI on our processes, but also on industrial processes.
Interesting. I'm going to come back to you to ask you about ROI and success rate, but let me first go to Martell. So you build AI software for corporates as well. You've got various products. Tell us about those kind of offerings and how they've been adopted by your customers, and the adoption process and what value it's added.
Absolutely. So we have a a product called Millify, and it's an app. And how it adds value, it actually is AI at its core and its business value. So it creates value through creating unique recipes as well as generating meal plans. And then for our business partners or for the corporate side of it, we've partnered with Instacart in the United States and Canada, and we cover that entire region. And we're looking to also add that value here. And what makes us unique is that when we look at our competition in regards to, let's say, HelloFresh, where you can get 35 approved meals by registered dietitian, all of our meals have been registered with dietitians, and we're able to create unique recipes each time. And that is something that without AI capability, we wouldn't have the resource to be able to scale, scope, or learn as quickly as we do.
So this is interesting because basically what you're saying is you've built an AI that can take a recipe, turn it into a shopping list, and then you give that shopping list to Instacart that will then go and pick up all the stuff and deliver it, right? This is what you're saying?
Absolutely. So it's a one-click delivery, and we add value. We don't add any additional work to Instacart, but there's over 80,000 grocery stores and supply network that we're able to integrate with seamlessly.
Very interesting. So effectively, Instacart can use your product almost as a customer. They don't actually have to change any processes internally to be able to benefit from your offering.
That's absolutely correct. So there is no change for Instacart to adapt our business model, but only to really gain by adding new users through our creative, innovative. We use AI also for our content, our media content. So we bring in new customers, and then we also get a commission off of that.
Great. Okay, so we've talked about energy a little bit. We talked about, retail, groceries. Let's talk about defense. So, Antoine, you are heading up AI at Helsing, which is a defense company. You build autonomous drones that can attack people, I presume, and kill them. Tell me a bit about how AI has changed your business model, and maybe talk to me a little bit about the benefits of AI in replacing humans on the battlefield.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to rephrase a bit your intro. I don't think we're here to attack people. We're here to defend.
Of course, yeah. Defense is defense. Nothing to do with
attacking.
attacking.
But I mean, this is not something I want to take lightly as well.
Okay.
These are actually pretty heavy concepts. So
Sure.
thank you for your consideration there. This is very serious business. So the point about Helsing has been created 4 years ago. Defense has been existing since the beginning of times. The way we started Helsing was really about the fact that software and AI are going to change the way defense works, as it does for many other fields, and defense is no different. I think 4 years later, I think everybody's convinced. 4 years ago, it was not that clear. So that's quite interesting. The point, why creating a new company? I think maybe a point to your question now I can answer in a two-parter. First, why create a new company? Whereas you have very powerful defense companies already, right? Lockheed Martin or Boeing in the US or BAE System in the UK or Thales or Airbus in Europe, right? These companies are actually very, very, very powerful, and they've been here for many, many years. The point I think which is made general is that the AI and the software and AI revolution, it's been mentioned a lot of times today, is very hard to do for this big industry from the inside. And maybe TotalEnergies is doing it well, and I would congratulate them for that. I know for a fact that from inside it's very hard. You said before Helsing I was at Meta. I haven't seen that within Meta, it was very hard for us to ride internally the AI revolution. And Meta is the company who's been building PyTorch, who's been building Llama, etc. Even within this company, the change have been drastic and dramatic. And I think you've seen a lot of ups and downs in Meta, a lot of people going, 2 years ago, 15% of people have been let go, right? This is also part of what it means to actually make transformative change in the company, right? It takes a lot of work. So if you go to, I'm not saying it was just part of AI, but this is also part of like your restructure and change.
Let's just pause there because we're actually already going into the next topic, which is about workforce transformation. Let's talk a bit about Meta. So yes, Meta did make sizable headcount reductions. You said about 15,000 people. Are you saying that a lot of that was because of automation of their jobs? Or was it more around the fact that it had become a very bloated and bureaucratic organization?
No, yeah, it's both, right? Automation is coming in the way. I'm just saying that for big industry, for big corporations, it's hard to make like big changes, right? And AI is also an accelerator of that. but there have been some changes before. Meta was through the mobile revolution before,
Yeah.
etc. So it's a company, I think, is a good example of a company that's able to actually embrace this change, whatever it takes. So that's interesting. So, but then workforce reduction, the impact of AI, maybe it's actually more relevant for my other co-panelists. If I go to defense, we created Helsing because we thought that the value proposition and the dramatic change that AI is bringing on the battlefield would need new actors to do it, right? And we're not the only one. There are some American companies that are also doing this, right? A few, because we believe that historical company could not go fast enough. And if you go in military, especially Air Force, for instance, one of their motto is speed is key. Speed is key. If you go faster than the opponent, you basically get your life saved. Well, right now in innovation for defense, speed is key as well, right? If you go to the Ukraine conflict, it's been 3 years out. There have been 3 or 4 major revolutions in the way you do land attack and defense in the last 3 years. The typical cycle to create a new aircraft is 30 years, okay? So 30 years on one side, 3 or 4 revolutions in 3 years on the other side. How do you reconcile the two? This is the big challenge right now.
So tell us a bit more about the product you're building, how you're using AI, and how that is transforming the battlefield in terms of maybe one of the best places that you can actually replace jobs is replacing soldiers because you're actually saving lives that way. Tell us a bit about that, let's say, process, if you like.
Yeah, so I think something to really keep in mind, and I think it was said before in the panel, is that AI starts with data. Data is very important, and the highest quality data is where you have the best impact for AI. It's true in defense, it's true in advertisement, it's true everywhere. The battlefield right now is fueled with data. Coming from satellite, coming from drones, coming from anywhere, you have a lot of information. So now, the point, if you have a lot of information, you know, okay, who can actually understand and make sense of this information the quickest will get a speed advantage, to my previous point. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. So there's a lot about getting able to go where the data is. So there's a lot of embedded AI, because usually transmitting the data back to your supercomputer, etc., is actually very tricky. When you're on the battlefield, it can also be jammed, so you should not rely on the fact that I have 5G connections. So you need to do embedded, you need to do smart treatment of the data, because you cannot transmit everything. And then you can try to connect all the nodes of the data to have what we call a global situational awareness, which is basically for a soldier, meaning what's happening right now on the battlefield. And that's dramatic change for anybody on the battlefield.
This is really fascinating. Chiara, I want to come back to you, talking about workforce transformation, right? Now,
we don't agree on this point.
So Klarna, the Swedish buy now, pay later company, announced last year that they had reduced or removed 700 customer care agents and replaced their jobs with AI, right? And this was something which kind of went viral, and people were quite amazed that, okay, this is happening now. Job displacement is happening. Recently, the CEO of Shopify, very successful SaaS company, said that, first of all, he wants every single person in Shopify to use AI on a daily basis. He calls it reflexive use of AI. As soon as you get a task, the first thing is you must use AI for it, right? And the second thing he said, interestingly, is if anyone wants to hire more people in their department, they have to prove unequivocally that that job cannot already be done by AI. Tell me about what you see in the market in terms of your clients. Are you starting to see net job displacement? Or do you have another view around how AI is going to be transforming the workforce?
So first of all, I would like to clarify that I think the 2 examples that you brought up were taken out of context.
Go on.
In the sense, in the first one, they wanted to show early impact and uplift in numbers for the IPO. And the second one, probably, it was more like a above the line way to show the AI adoption. But besides that, now talking about the transformation of the workforce, I think what we see is a polarization of the leaders, right? There are leaders that are indeed after short-term results, and probably the easiest way to think about impact is just cutting costs. And then there are people that want to play the long game, okay? Now, what do I mean with that? You can think of Think about today, people do their job. And this leader thinks tomorrow people will manage agent that will do the job. And in that way, you get 10 to 15x the outcome that you get today. And I think we were discussing before, and I give you an example. When the steam engine was created, people were going from point A to point B with horses. So when the steam engine was created, then they created the train. So it's not that they fire all the people that were the carriage, but actually they hire 10 times the driver because they created a new market. There is a new market of travel. They created a new demand. So my point here, the way that we see leaders thinking about it is trying to transform what their business look like and use AI to triple accelerate the output of their people to create new avenue of growth and have a top line that skyrocket. And that is where leaders of AI are trying to think about it. So going back to your question, is a short term or a long game that you want to play? That's
Right, okay. So basically what you're saying is if I can use AI to make my workforce 15 times more productive, I shouldn't reduce them by a factor of 15. I should rather try and capture 15x whatever revenue I'm capturing now.
But not just productivity, is reinventing your market. It's very different than productivity. Productivity is you play on your play field just faster.
Sure.
But sometimes there might not be demand.
I mean
so
output, basically like output.
Reinvent your business, yes.
Right, right. Mounir, I want to come back to you. You've said that you've implemented all kinds of AI in your organization. Well done to you. I think it's interesting because I don't think many other businesses will be able to say the same. How have you measured ROI? Can you tell us a bit about what that looks like and give us some very concrete examples, ideally with numbers? Can you give us maybe one example?
Okay. As we say, we talk a lot about data as a prerequisite to put to have like AI models in production. But not only the data, we need also to integrate it in our legacy. Because when I'm talking about like big companies, we have a huge IT system,
Right.
huge legacy, and to integrate all this AI agent into our legacy. This is a very big project itself. And also, we should also measure, as you say, we should evaluate these models because as we know, all the AI models hallucinate or drift, as we say. So
Sure.
we should monitor this, and we should be aware about all this monitoring, this model monitoring.
But going back to the question, like how do you measure ROI? I mean, can you give concrete terms in terms of, I don't know, time saved or revenue increase or cost saved, or have you got to the stage where you're actually creating quantitative measurements, or is it still kind of a work in progress and still fairly ill-defined right now?
Yeah, to answer to your question, there are two phases in AI integration projects. The first phase is the proof of concept. So we deploy the model, we prove that it works, and the next phase is to put it into production and to evaluate the outcome for this integration. And to give you an example, for example, in our project in predictive maintenance, we gain around 15% of our costs to what we pay before using AI in our predictive maintenance.
Okay.
And it's a huge amount according to our investment in the predictive maintenance for our assets.
Martell, how about you? I mean, you say Instacart is using a product. Yeah. How are they measuring the ROI of that?
Yes. So for Instacart, I can't speak to how they're measuring the ROI, but for our business model, we look at our costs. So our costs for our servers, our database, and currently we have a 71% profit margin. So what that means is if we have $1, we're getting 71 cents off of it. So for us, it's more about...
That's pretty high.
Yeah. So
that's gross margin?
Yeah, so yes. So that's our gross profit margin. So we're looking at how can we reduce the costs. And I wanted to add back to your previous question that was asked about the headcount. So truly, when you look at headcount, it's your number of like required time it takes to do your work over your demand. So where AI can be useful is that if you use AI for creativity and innovation, so if you can actually increase the demand for your product or your service and still have that same amount of time it takes to do the work, then you're adding value.
Interesting. I actually want to go back to Chiara now and talk about something a little bit different, which is around barriers to adoption. Obviously, you work with many clients. Tell us about some of the things which you see which are barriers to adopting AI, and how do you think they might be circumvented?
So let me tell you it's short. I think there's fear, noise, people, data, and tech.
Nice.
Fear is because, I mean, you just talk about it, right? People don't know what they don't know. They think I'm going to lose my job, then why do I have to use AI? There's no way to calculate the impact. Let me create let me step back and not do it. Fear. Noise. We are bombed by AI and adoption of AI. I have many CEOs, the first question they ask me is, where do I start? And many people don't know where to start, and then they just get stuck at the get-go. Then talent. People like business don't understand AI, so they don't know what to do with the AI. Tech people are too deep into the coding. They don't know how to tell the business how to use the AI. And they're like speaking, I don't know, Arabic and Italian to each other without a translation mechanism in the middle. Data, where we spoke about it. And tech, sometimes there is legacy tech that is not done to scale, good for a good POC, but it doesn't support an effective way to scale agency properly to retransform the business model.
It's a great answer. I mean, like, how do you solve for those things? How do you circumvent them?
Do you want me to go through the list?
No,
I think,
give me a very high level.
Yeah, the short things is really think that AI is not a technical challenge, is a human challenge, and approach it as a human challenge. I think that's probably the short answer.
I think you're another optimist about these things, aren't you?
No, I will get things done, and that's the way you do it.
Cool. I want to come back to you, Antoine. Now, kind of thinking ahead, I mean, you've obviously been using AI in a very sophisticated way to develop, drones, automated vehicles. This field is moving very quickly. This technology is really advancing very rapidly. What do you see are the next kind of levels of technology development? What do you expect to see coming out in the next 3 to 5 years, emerging AI tech? And how do you plan on using that in your organization?
Yeah, thank you. That's a fascinating question. I think everybody's asking this question themselves. I think what we're seeing bursting right now is what's called the AI, physical AI. That's also what we do with the drones, but the drone is a very specific use case.
Sorry, define physical AI.
Yeah, it's AI in the physical world. So it's basically AI that's really plugged in, so they can directly read what's happening in the real world through cameras usually, but they can be depth camera, infrared, so you can have different types of sensors, but it can also act on the world. So of course the paragon of that is robots, right? That's what we talk about, but robots is also pretty generic concept. There is a big acceleration in humanoid robots, but there's also quadruped robots, flying robots, etc. This is, I think, where a lot of the things are going to converge. We see a huge acceleration in the capability of these devices, not really so much in Europe right now, a lot in the US and China. That's what I was sharing just before. Just last week, it was the first time where humanoid robots have been racing for half marathon in Shanghai. Okay, so these 21 kilometers, they were slower than the best humans, but they were not slower than the slowest human. So this is 2 hours and 30 minutes, I think, of running for a robot. It's pretty bipedal robots. It's a huge milestone for the robotics community. If you combine this plus what's happening in the agentic world, you start to have, I think, the picture of what's going. And I think the third element is all the work that's been done in self-driving cars. Why do I bring this up? Because there's a lot of work for safety and robustness, and how do I put like AI system in the physical world in very constrained and safe environment. Everybody says self-driving car, it's coming later, it's slower than expected, but they've done a lot of work in terms of defining, assuring, and robustifying what it means for an AI to be in critical physical conditions. They've done this work. Then you have the robot, you have agentic AI. I think you have the ingredients of what's coming next.
So you're talking about robot soldiers, effectively.
I'm not talking about defense exclusively there. I'm talking about
I'm
the
now
next
trying to
stage of AI.
superimpose what you said onto your
No,
own
I
business.
don't think that's
Is
that's
that
the
not a
future.
thing that's going to happen? I mean, it seems
No.
almost a deduction from what you said.
No. I think the what I'm saying is that this is where AI is going for the defense sector. I think there is a lot of use cases that don't need like a very sophisticated robot to be improved.
Give me an example.
So where I don't need a robot or where I
No,
need?
I mean like a physical AI. Give me an example of some
Oh
kind of...
yeah, there's a lot of like search and rescue for physical casualties. Bringing the casualties is actually something that's very traumatizable for people. There is a lot about carrying like radio relays or these kind of things. So you can actually have the relay for this. A lot of the defense, we don't see about it that much. It's a lot of logistics. And I think this is where you will see a lot of the improvement before.
Okay, amazing. Chiara, I'm going to ask you one last question. When is AI going to replace my boss? Is it ever going to happen? And what should I do about it if it does?
Right now.
I think you should expect you're going to have 10 boss, not one. He's
Awesome.
going to increase his output.
Anyone else have a view on this?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, I watched a recent interesting podcast, and it was called the AI CEO. So basically, the idea was that AI could aid or co-pilot any job, and even the most perceived difficult job with decision making. So I think that's something to consider, not necessarily, is it happening now, but can it? And then if that is possible, how does that change the way businesses are run?
Okay, and?
I think it's a movie and a story to be written.
What do you think?
So I think that definitely the co-pilot is happening now. So when I look at our software developers, they've been able to develop code with AI as co-pilot and renew new features every week. And for me, what that has meant is that we don't have to hire more developers, but we can offer more value within our products and services faster. And then we also can create, even in music and movies as well.
Cool.
By the way, we built the CEO companion, so it's not a theory, it's reality.
Yeah, but you're optimistic about that, as in you don't see this being an actual thing, like that a leader of an organization can be an AI? And the
Not
potential
only
impact of-
I said the CEO companion, not a CEO replacement.
Yeah, okay, fine. But I think what I'm hearing is a lot of optimism here. My own view, maybe I'm a bit contrarian, dystopian. I actually see there's huge risk here. I can actually see large segments of the workforce being automated. I can see AI bosses presiding over humans, and I can see all kinds of interesting and strange things happening in the future.
I think at
Let's
some
see what
point,
happens.
the question is who bears the responsibility? So for now, I think it will always be so far a human or human construct, like an organization that bears the responsibility for profit or losses or employment. So they can delegate to copilots, but I don't see the responsibility being handed over to machines anytime soon. Not in defense, at least. Clearly not.
And I want to add to that.
Sorry, just on this point, if a board believed that a robot could do a better job than their current CEO and that could generate more shareholder value, why would they not hand it over to a robot or an AI?
Yeah, but they would own the responsibility for the company. The board is not
The
there.
board would, yeah, exactly.
So I'm just saying that what my mind was like, at some point, there are humans bearing the responsibility of the acts that are being done.
Cool. And I guess on that dystopian note, that's about all the time we have.
Yeah.
Please give me help in giving a massive round of applause to my esteemed panelists. Very interesting.